Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a shark deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful XZ deck that can turbo out multiple XZ monsters in a single turn and even makes great use of the armored XZ cards, which are such cool cards. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name, description, every single video, gonna get signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Buzzsaw Shark. Buzzsaw Shark is definitely a 3-of in the build that has an insane ability that lets you target a water monster that you control, and then special summon from your deck and defense position a fish monster with the same level as that monster but with a different name. And if you do, it cannot activate its effects for the rest of the turn. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest of the turn except XZ monsters, which is totally fine. And fun fact, you can actually target Buzzsaw Shark itself to be able to summon out a fish monster from the deck, which is an insane ability that you can just have only this card on your side of the field, target itself, and then summon out a fish monster that's a level 4 from the deck. But this card also has an insane ability. If this card is used for an XZ summon of a water monster, it can be treated as a level 3, 4, or 5 to be able to XZ summon, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Lantern Shark. Lantern Shark is a really good 1-of in the deck that has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, then you can activate this effect that you get to special summon a level 3, 4, or 5 water monster from your hand in defense position except another copy of this card, which is a great effect. And it also shares the ability, just like your copy of Buzzsaw Shark, if this card is used for an XZ summon of a water monster, it can be treated as a level 3, 4, or 5. We then play 3 copies of Abyss Shark. Abyss Shark is probably one of the most broken cards in the entire deck, and definitely a 3-of in the build. And if all monsters that you control are water, then you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a great ability. And if this card is special summoned from your hand, then you get to add a level 3, 4, or 5 fish monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. But for the rest of the turn, you can't special summon except for water monsters, which is totally fine because that's all we're summoning anyways. And if this card is used for an XZ summon of a number monster, it can be treated as a level 3, 4, or 5, which is an insane effect to get to the exact number monster that you want. We then play a single copy of Crystal Shark. Crystal Shark is really good as a 1-of in this build, and a great card to be able to use with your copy of Abyss Shark because it has the ability, if this card is used for an XZ summon of a number monster, it can be treated as a level 3, 4, or 5, and if this card's in your hand or grave, you can actually target a water monster on the field and special summon this card, but banish this card when it leaves the field, and if you do, half that monster's attack, which is a great effect just to instantly get this card out on your side of the field, but you can actually use it over and over again because when this card is attached as an XZ material and is detached, it will actually go back to the graveyard instead of banishing itself because it didn't technically leave the field. We then play a single copy of Dream Shark. Dream Shark is great in this build as a 1-of because this card is basically a cyber dragon for the deck because it has the ability that if all monsters you control are water monsters, or if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a great effect just to instantly get this card out on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Right Hand Shark. Right Hand Shark is great in the deck because this card has the ability that if this card is used as an XZ material, then it has the ability that the monster cannot be destroyed by battle, giving you a little bit of protection in this deck for your XZ monsters, which is really nice. We then play 3 copies of Lifeless Leaf Fish. Lifeless Leaf Fish is a card that I just recently started playing in this build. And this card is great to be able to work with your copy of Crystal Shark because this card has the ability when it's summoned, you can send a fish monster from your deck to the graveyard except another copy of Lifeless Leaf Fish, which is a great ability to get your copy of your Crystal Shark in the grave so you can bring it back to your side of the field and make an XZ play with your copy of Lifeless Leaf Fish. But this card also has a great ability to banish this card from the grave and then target 3 fish monsters in your grave, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw a card to help you recycle your resources. We then play 2 copies of Silent Angler. Silent Angler is a great extender in the deck that has the ability if you control a water monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, but you cannot special summon monsters from your hand for the rest of the turn, so you always want to make this card the last card you're special summoning out of your hand. We then play a single copy of Izzy Remore. This card is really good as a 1-of in the deck because it is searchable, but it has the ability you can special summon this card from your hand by detaching 2 Izzy materials from monsters that you control. And when you do, you can actually target 2 level 4 fish monsters in your graveyard and special summon those targets in face-up defense position, which is a great ability so you can go in for more Izzy plays using this card. But it's a really good 1-of extender in the deck. We then play a single copy of Silent Sea Nettle. Silent Sea Nettle is really good as an extender and is very similar to your copy of your Silent Angler, but this card is actually an aqua monster, which is a little bit unfortunate, but this card is still really good because it's a different name. And if you control a water monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a great ability just to instantly get this card on your side of the field. And it does share a similar effect to your copy of your Lifeless Leaf Fish, that if this card's in the graveyard, you can actually banish this card from the grave to be able to target up to 3 water monsters in your grave and shuffle them back in the deck, which is a great ability just to help you recycle your resources. We then play 3 copies of the Tenyi Spirit Shathana. Shathana is a really good extender, but it's always going to be the first card you're going to summon out of your hand, because if you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, making this card essentially like a Cyber Dragon for the deck to be able to just instantly get this card out on your side of the field. It's a really good 3-of in the deck because it's just a level 4 water monster that special summons itself for free. We then play a single copy of Gamma Seal. Gamma Seal is searchable in the deck with your copy of Ice Barrier, which is really nice to be able to do. To be able to just banish your copy of Ice Barrier from the graveyard, and then send this card to the grave, and then add it back to your hand off your copy of Ice Barrier, which is just really good that you always have access to a kaiju, because sometimes you just need to give your opponent the turtle. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's really good as a 3-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is really good as a 3-of in this build just to stop your opponent from searching the deck for the rest of the turn. This card is really good as a 3-of in the build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of White Mirror. White Mirror is basically Monster Reborn for the deck with the ability that you can target a level 4 lower fish monster in the graveyard and special summon it. Then you can add 1 monster from your deck to your hand with the same original name as that special summon monster, which is a great effect to get to the exact cards that you need. We then play a single copy of Armored XZ. Armored XZ is great in this build as a 1-of because it actually lets you target a face a monster that you control and an XZ monster in the graveyard and equip that monster from the graveyard to that monster on the field that has the equip spell effect that you change the equipped monster's attack to this card's attack. The equipped monster gains this card's attribute, and at the end of the damage step, if the equipped monster attacked, you can send this card to the graveyard and the attacking monster can make a second attack in a row, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this card. Plus it's searchable in this build, which is just really, really nice. We then play a single copy of Instant Fusion and 1 copy of Ready Fusion. These cards are basically just extenders in the deck to summon out your copy of Rare Fish by paying 1,000 life points. These are just really good in the deck just to get you an additional level 4 on your side of the field so you can make more XZ plays. We then play 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. Goods is good. This card is great in the deck as a 3-of because it has the ability to send a spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard, which is always going to be your copy of Ice Barrier that you're sending to the graveyard because it's basically Rhoda for the deck, which is just really, really nice. This card is definitely a 3-of in the build and is just really helpful in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Full Armored XZ. Full Armored XZ is also searchable in this build, but this card is a great trap card to be able to use, because if an XZ monster is on the field, immediately this effect resolves, you get to XZ summon 1 XZ monster using monsters you control as a material, and it also has the ability that you can banish this card from the grave, and then target an XZ monster that you control, and equip one other XZ monster from face up from your side of the field or your graveyard to that monster as an equip spell that gains the following effect. effect, so the equipped monster gains attack equal to this card's attack, and if the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, destroy this card instead, which is great to be able to work with your copy of our full armored Dark Knight Lancer. This card is absolutely insane and a really good card to be able to work with our copy of full armored XZ. It's just absolutely crazy how easy it is to be able to get multiple disruptions with this card. It's just such a powerful card. We then play 2 copies of Ice Barrier. Ice Barrier is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card helps you from getting OTK'd, because when an attack is declared involving your opponent's monster, change an opponent's monster's attack to 0 and negate its effects, which is just a really cool effect about this card. But the main effects we're going to be using with this card is with our Foolish Barrel of Goods, that you can send this card to the grave with Foolish Barrel of Goods, and if this card's in the grave, you can banish this card from the grave. Then you have the ability to send a level 5 or higher water monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then you get to add a water monster from your graveyard to your hand, which is great to be able to send cards like your Abyss Shark, Gamma Seal, any of those cards to the grave, to be able to just add them back to your hand, essentially being like a roto for the deck. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is really cool as a 3-of in the build to go along with all of our other hand traps, to basically just use this card to stop your opponent's monster effects, and it's just a really good card, especially to set this card to your side of the field and lock down entire columns of spells and traps. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of full armored Dark Knight Lancer. This card is a great 1-of boss monster, and it's basically the main boss monster we're trying to get to, because this card can get absolutely huge. It has the ability that once per turn, you can also XZ summon this card by using a rank 5 or 6 XZ monster you control as a material, which is really good just to be able to make this card basically at any time in this deck. And it also has the ability that this card gains 300 attack for each material and equip card it has. And once per turn, you can target an XZ card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. And once per turn, an equip card becomes equipped to a monster you control, except during the damage step. Then you can attach one monster that your opponent controls to this card as a material, which is just insane. They can also eat your opponent's cards, which is just really nice. We then play a single copy of full armored Crystal Zero Lancer. This card is very easy to make in the deck because you can actually use a rank 5 water monster as a material to make this card, making it ridiculously easy to make this card. And it gains 500 attack for each XZ material attached to this card. If this face-up card would be destroyed, then you can detach a material from this card instead. And once per turn, you can detach an XZ material from this card, and all face-up monsters your opponent controls have their effects negated until the end of the turn, which is insane that this card can basically be like a Dark Ruler no more, which is crazy. We then play a single copy of XZ Armor Fortress. Fortress is really good in this deck as a 1-of because it has the ability that once per turn, you can also XZ summon this card by using a rank 3 or 4 XZ monster you control as a material, and it cannot be used as a material for an XZ summon while it has materials, which is not that big of a deal because it's very easy to be able to use this card and just get the materials out from under it, because once per turn, you can actually detach up to 2 materials from this card to add armored XZ cards with different names from your deck to your hand. We actually have 2, so you can just detach 2 materials from this card to be able to get those searches. And if a monster equipped with this card battles a monster, any battle damage inflicted to your opponent is double. We then play a single copy of Torpedo. Torpedo is just a really good 1-of in the build, and it's just a great card overall in the deck. So you can actually detach 2 materials from this card to draw a card, which is a great ability, and I love this card as a 1-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Nash Knight. Nash Knight's great in this build as a 1-of. It helps you eat your opponent's cards and step into a bunch of really good cards, especially your copy of number 101 and C101, because this card has the ability it cannot be destroyed by battle while a number monster is on the field. And during the main phase, quick effects, you can detach 2 materials from this card to attach a number XZ monster from your extra deck to this card as a material that has a number between 101 and 107 in its name. Then you can attach one face-up monster monster on the field to this card as a material, which is an insane ability. We then play a single copy of number 101. 101 is great because it can basically attach a monster that's special summoned to this card, which is really good, but it works really well with our copies of Nash Knight. We then play a single copy of C Nash Knight. C Nash Knight is really good in this deck as a 1-up because you can actually make this card on top of your copy of Nash Knight. And this card is great in the deck because it has the ability that you can basically use the effect that you can detach a material from this card and then special summon from your X deck a number XZ monster. It has a number between 101 and 107 in its name using this face of card you control as a material, but destroy it during your opponent's next end phase, which is a really cool ability to make your copy of C101, which is just a crazy powerful card to be able to make in this deck because it's so easy to make with your copy of your CXZ. And once you have your copy of 101 in the graveyard, it's just very easy to use this card over and over again, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Abyss Dweller to shut down the graveyard, plus it has a great ability that it gains all monsters that you control that are water gain 500 attack when you have a monster that was originally water attached to this card, which is a really cool ability. We then play a single copy of number 4, so we can turn every monster on the field into a water monster, which is great. Plus this card can basically destroy one water monster on the field, and it's a quick effect, and then it does half the attack points of that monster to your opponents as damage, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Stealth Kragen. Stealth Kragen spawn is just really good to be able to use their copy of number 4. You play a single copy of Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark is great in this deck as a 1-up to be able to use this card to summon out our copy of Totally Awesome, which really is totally awesome. And this card is a walking negate, which is why we play this card as a 1-up in the build. You can use your copy of Bahamut Shark in the deck to be able to summon out a rank 3 or lower water monster. So you can use it to summon out your copy of Torpedo, which is an option for you if you want to, because you can summon out that card very easily. So you have 2 targets in the deck to be able to summon. But your copy of Toad is really good because you can recycle a water monster when it does touch the graveyard, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus because it's a board wipe and it's very easy to make in this build. And then finally play a single copy of Rare Fish, which is our instant fusion and ready fusion targets in this build. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Shark before, you should definitely give this deck a try, especially now that we have the Armored XZ cards, which are just so powerful. I absolutely love them. They're really good in this build, and it's just crazy how easy it is to establish a board to be able to OTK your opponent and establish multiple XZ monsters in a single turn. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.